looking at one reel blade, this relief angle typically on average is 20 degrees. And that's fairly true between the Toros, the Jacobsen, the John Deeres. That's a very common number to see 20 degrees. Does this angle really matter that much? No. All I'm trying to do is get rid of metal. I do not want this amount of metal to be passing by that bed knife. So if you're at 22 degrees or if you're at 19 degrees, it doesn't matter. It's just excessive metal we want to get rid of. If you get excessive on that, let's say you decide, well, shoot, if it doesn't matter, let's just go to, I don't know, 60 degrees. So that I have a relief forever, what's going to happen is that blade will get very weak. And when you hit a golf spike or a twig or something, you'll break that. So you can't get excessive. And so anything over 30 degrees would probably be considered excessive. Anything less than 20 degrees, what will happen is the blade you'll simply wear out the relief. You'll run out of relief faster. And so trying to find the compromise between too weak and wearing out too fast, they come up with 20 degrees. So if you get too steep, this is going to chip and break it out. So you don't want to go too steep. You're never going to have the blade relief come all the way out to the front edge. If you did, again, it's like a mower blade or a rotary mower blade. It really is not supposed to come to a razor edge. You hit anything sharp at all, it will chip it. So there's always an area up here, and we call it the land area, and that is pretty close. If you're spin grinding, this will be a 90-degree corner right here. In the land area, this is called the land. The average, this is a pretty common 40 thousandths of a distance, is the land area. This reel blade here, I'll pass it around. It's kind of heavy and it's very sharp. It's a brand new reel. And that's what a brand new reel will look like. The shiny little edge that you see on that is this 40 thousandths land. And we took a feeler gauge and checked it, and it's right at 40,000. That's a factory ground reel. We have it because there's some damage on it, so they let us keep it for examples. Very sharp, it'll cut you very easily, but that gives you a 20-degree relief, and that shiny area is the 40 thousandths degree land. That's a brand new or sharpened reel. This is just a chart showing you the amount of horsepower that it takes to turn a reel. If you have a reel that has a relief grind in it, and it's got a sharp bed knife, you just pulled it out of the grinder, and you put a relief in it, and you have 2 thousandths clearance, it's going to take 3/4 of a horsepower to turn that reel. And that there is in 1.5 inch Bermuda grass. Bermuda grass is really tough grass. And that's some pretty coarse stuff. And this is tests done in Florida, because Florida is the big testing state where they can mow grass all year round. And that's all they have down there is nasty Bermuda grass. So really coarse grass takes 3/4 of horsepower. If you increase that clearance between the reel and the bed knife from 2 thousandths to 5 thousandths, it doesn't really change the horsepower requirement. It's still going to take pretty close to 3/4. If you decrease it so that the reel and the bed knife contact each other, it's only going to go up to 0.88. And that's with a sharp blade. And so the two are actually rubbing, you have contact. It's going to increase the horsepower because now I'm going to have two very narrow areas rubbing each other, so it's not going to increase that much. Same reel, no relief. So now I have a flat blade instead of a relief blade and a sharp bed knife. The horsepower doesn't change much with clearance. There's not a big difference between these two. But as soon as I go and I have contact, I take that clearance out, look at the difference in horsepower. Got 294% difference in horsepower. Because now instead of dragging 40 thousandths across that bed knife, now I'm dragging the full width of that blade, which could be up to 1/4 inch. That's a lot of blade width to drag across that, and the horsepower is quite a bit. You multiply this number times 5, because you've got a fairway mower. 5 times that, it's going to be 10 plus another almost 3. So you're looking at almost 13 horsepower. You look at our fairway mower out there, it's only 32 horsepower, And if it takes 13 just to turn the reels, and you've got heels, you can see where this thing's going to seem like it has no power. This thing's just a dog. It's like junk. It has no horsepower, no power at all. Well, you spend 13 of it just trying to turn the reels, it's not going to have any power. So it's important that you try to have, first of all, the important thing here is you need to have clearance. The second thing is you want it to be sharp.
2000s normal clearance.
2000s is a number that every manufacturer is pretty much giving you at this point. Toro is pretty much recommending that, John Deere and Jacobsen. And so they're looking for some kind of clearance. And 2000s is pretty much the common number. You'll see 1 or you'll see 2, but that's pretty much across the board. So it doesn't matter what brand you use for this test, because they're all looking for 2000s clearance. It's going to be that. 5000s clearance, what's going to happen, especially in our area where grass is really fine, you're going to start seeing it tear the grass and pinch the grass, because the grass is so fine. Instead of cutting it, it's going to pinch it. You would not want to go to 5000s. And so you want it between 0 and 2000s. You want it pretty darn close, but you really don't want it contacting. Super light contact, if you can hear it a little bit like a whisper, you'll get by with it. Just don't have heavy contact.